Hey everybody, my name is Mr. Patterson. I am a 6th grade social studies teacher here at UVA. I've been here for 5 years. This is my 3rd year in 6th grade. I've been in 7th grade my first 2. I'd have to say my favorite thing at UVA is just being able to meet with the kids one-on-one, having time to do that, and provide that individual instruction for them. It's something that I've never been able to do in brick and mortar that I can do here. I've gotten way more comfortable and better at it throughout the years here. When I first started, we were under Adobe. It was a different system. I had to learn that. Had its own challenges, and then as the years went by, you kind of get comfortable like you do in brick and mortar with now you're in a screen is between you and the student. So it was just that dynamic that had to change over the course of those years. And now, of course, in middle school, we use a teaming model. So I'm not even in the classroom by myself anymore. I've got 2 other social studies teachers that are working with all the kids. So it's been great so far this year for us. Really, I've probably always kind of wanted to be a teacher. I come from a family of a lot of educators. My great-grandfather was a principal. He was a teacher for the longest time, and then a principal. I've got aunts and cousins and lots of different people that are educators. And so that was always kind of instilled in us at a young age. And then as the years go by, I realized probably around junior high, maybe earlier than that I loved history, and that was kind of what drove me through college. I have a history degree. And so right about the time, I was graduating college, I had different thoughts about what I would do with my history degree, different routes I would take. But eventually there were people locally in my community that kept kind of speaking out to me like, hey, you should apply. Hey, you should apply. You should go to this person. And so I did. I started off in Livingston Parish, and I worked there for 5 years. And that's kind of how I just progressed there. And then the opportunity at UVA came along to teach virtually, and I kind of jumped with that too. So one door is open to another over the years. Yeah, it was a very it was an honor to receive this award. I'll say that because I look at the people that I know that I've worked with before that have gotten this award. They've been teaching 20-something years, maybe 30 years, maybe the end of their career, and they get that Teacher of the Year award. And for me, sitting at 10 years, it was just a really big honor. It's something that you don't expect, and that meant a lot to me that my colleagues kind of put that trust in me. I think one thing that stuck with me from brick and mortar to now is questioning, discussion. Being in social studies too, we're telling a story. And so if you can get the kids involved in that story from the get-go, where it's not just me, at a screen talking about it, and especially when I started in brick and mortar, I'm walking around the room, the kids are interacting with the discussion, and then it might lend itself to maybe some movement with stations. Here at UVA, it's breakout rooms with those discussions. So I've always felt like questioning was my strongest suit. And that also comes from having good mentors. I had a really good mentor that kind of taught me her style along the way too, and I picked up on some of that. And I'd probably say that's my strongest suit with the students. So first off, if you're talking about just life skills in general, we always, as a team and just me personally, it boils back to respect. Respect yourself, respect your classmates, because that's going to get you everywhere in life, open a lot of doors for you, and just you're a kinder person. As far as social studies go, I always like to look at that angle too, being that that's my subject. And I always tell them that I am teaching the future American body politic, right? I'm teaching them to be citizens of this country and how to participate in that process. So it comes with kind of a dual purpose for me when I teach those type things. For me, it's always back to the kids. When I see success, when I see growth, when we get our data back about how kids did the previous year, that's always a huge win in my book when I see how far some of these kids have grown. But also, more than that even, it's on the daily basis when you're in those learning circles and you're seeing the little light bulbs go off in their little heads when they're thinking about big ideas, or they get back a project grade and they realize how good they did on it. So it's all those things kind of combined for me. Well, every year it's a new group of kids. I think that challenge itself is always gets me going every year, because I like to switch things up. I like to change. I like to adapt and grow, just like I like the kids to do throughout the school year. And so I think every year offers a fresh opportunity to be able to do that. And what other field can you say that you have that fresh start every single year and really continue on? It's something special. It's always fun to see my students in person. Usually they'll come up to me first before I even can get to see them. Whether it's at testing and I'm maybe a test coordinator or a site coordinator, and they'll be like, "Hey, Mr. Patterson, remember me from whatever year?" Or sometimes they're shy, right? And I'll have to go up to them and like, "You're so-and-so, I remember you from last year," right? And they'll smile. Also at open houses every year, I've got some families, that they'll come up to me every year and their kids are in high school now and they want to, come back and say hello. So that's one of those special things too that you get to experience as a teacher. And at a virtual school at that.